I recently hosted Jan Fischer to the podcast. After we wrapped up the original recording session, something happened. Jan and I kept talking. We kept talking about innovation management inside organizations. We kept talking about what we have seen work and not work in this space. And we kept exchanging on the belief that we both hold close to our hearts. And that is that every organization has hidden innovators among their employees. The conversation kept evolving. So we did one thing that you do when a conversation is worth more than your memory of it. We hit record again. And I'm so glad we did, because then we got this bonus episode that I want to share with you, because I learned 3 things that I believe are valuable for you to listen. First, I learned that you can gamify the innovation management process in the ways that make it more engaging for your employees. Second, I learned that you can apply the same approach to invite your customers to innovate with you. And third, I learned that when you activate innovators, you also activate the supporters and advocates around them. So, for reminders, Jan Fischer is the founder and the CEO of Innosabi, an innovation management platform that, since launching for the first time in 2010, has helped hundreds of enterprise clients improve their products, services, and the lives of employees and customers. I'm your host, Iliriana Kaçaniku, an innovation strategist at heart, and this is Activate Innovation Lounge podcast. We're dedicated to helping leaders with or without innovation entitled to activate innovators, innovation, and innovation culture. If this sounds like you, hit follow wherever you're listening. And now let's welcome back Jan Fischer. So what were you saying?
So you start exactly how you phrased it. You have the big bang, the big challenge, reaching out to all the employees and high visibility, as you said, middle management to vote on the best ideas and so on. So then maybe within a 100,000 employee organization, maybe 40,000, 50,000. So there's something going on. If I would have handed in an idea, it would have been rated, and maybe it would have been picked by someone else. But the most important thing hereby is you have people that see and think, oh, the format of creating a challenge is great. I should do that with my team, not with the whole organization. So if they see it twice, 3 times, usually they reach out to the innovation management department and tell them, hey, guys, I want to have my own admin account. I would like to create my own campaign. Please give me rights. And then, of course, what they need to have is a dedicated space on the innovation platform so that they have their own rights, their own admin rights in their dedicated space. So they cannot change the global platform, but their own area. Quite often, this own area is hidden. It's just for the small team and so on. But they're practicing on the one hand side. They're practicing, learning. They're getting absolutely used to the democratized way of innovating. And then maybe they open that space for everyone who is interested. And then it's not a department or a team anymore. Then it's basically everyone, a community of practice. And quite often, clients who have our platforms, not just for 1 year, but maybe for 3, 4, 5 years, they have maybe a couple of 100 different communities of practice. People that work together and they're not belong together. They don't belong to the same organization, not to the same factory, but they have the same passion, the same interest. And for them, they perceive that as fun. It's like a hobby, and you don't have to pay them to work for that. So not extra payment. They just love that. If they can work in their hobby, their main interest during their business hours, for them, it's amazing. And this is the moment, the tipping point, when innovation is not dictated, let's say, by the management anymore, but it's rather a common practice, a culture within the organization. So this unguided, unsteered innovation being created bottom up by individual employees.
And, at the end of the day, I think this is becoming even more valuable now with the AI coming in, because think about the recruitment process. Via AI, you are going to develop the job description. Via the AI, the candidates are going to craft their own resumes. Via AI, they are going to practice to answer the interview question if interviewing is the process, so they stand out from the customer. So this is all one art of the process, okay, or one side of the process. But through this process, it is very likely that you are going to leave out a lot of passions and skills that are not relevant to the job description, right? Because if you mention any of those, then you are going to be kicked out of the process. You are not going to be considered a competitive candidate. But when you get the job and you join the organization, you are more than job description. I am more than job description. You are more than job description. You are more than the KPIs that you have to work on as an individual. So when you come up with somebody in an organization, anybody comes with a challenge and you are excited and driven to solve that challenge, you are not going to be selective of, I'm going to use only these skills that I've been hired for. You are going to bring your full self into solving that problem. Because if you are intrinsically motivated, your goal is to solve it for yourself. If you are extrinsically motivated, that award at the end means something to you. That award could be a monetary award, could be a bonus, could be just an award, could be the promotion, because maybe at some point down the road, a criteria for promotion becomes how many company-wide problems you have innovated that were valuable on, like how much this company has inspired you to push your own boundaries, and then you have gone a step further than what you were supposed to. But still, do that within the time frame of the working hours within the organization. Make time, because if I'm solving for something that is more part of my day job, then I will be owning that IP, because, that's my idea. I can take it on my own, but why take it on your own when there is a talent? You can create the entrepreneurs within the organization. And that's for me that ideal state of a culture in which everybody in an organization is encouraged, supported, incentivized to be an active innovator.
And you know what? You can even measure that. So what we learned is you have employees that hand in 1,000 ideas. So let's say everyone gets 3 points for each idea. But as an organization, you're not interested in 1,000 ideas. You just want to have maybe 10 good ideas or maybe 20 good ideas, right? Then you have people that comment. So they see an idea and they can react to it. They give you the hints, the tiny tips and tricks to make this idea perfect, to make it round. So they don't get any points. So usually they are not visible. But we thought, hey, if an idea is worth 3 points, let's give the people with the comment 1 point, because it's an evolution of the idea. Maybe it's, of course, sometimes it's something like, hey, this will not work in our organization because of this and that. Still, it's helpful because there is a reason why it's not working, right? Then you have people that don't want to create content. They don't want to comment. They don't want to hand an idea, but they upvote. They rate ideas, because this is maybe they're more, let's say, they're not that extrovert that they would like to write something with their name and title and head next to the idea. So we give them the opportunity to maybe come up with some gradings, getting points for that. And now let's assume you have people who are super chatty, they create lots of content, but not lots of knowledge in that, or not valuable comments. Because you can say to each and every idea, hey, this is great, I like that. Oh, it's cool, that's a cool idea. So where's the value, aside from someone is confirming that's a good idea? So then we thought, why not using a peer-to-peer rating? So if you create an idea, and now I'm a third person, and I see your idea and think, hey, Iliriana's idea is great. I want to support that idea. Then you get points because I supported your idea. I'm measuring now the quality of your idea. Since in our platforms you cannot up or down vote, you can just give positive contributions, like a like in that case. We can measure the quality of your idea by the amount of likes you got for your idea. And now you can start comparing all of it. If you give a higher, let's say, more visibility to the quality of ideas, you can create a ratio, and then you can compare the contribution of innovation of employees in innovation in general. You can create leaderboards, and you can create leaderboards of the combination of quality and quantity, because just quality without quantity is tricky as well, because then nothing is going on aside from this genius ideas all the time. But having just quantity without quality is not good as well, right? You have nice KPIs, but no impact. So having a mixture is, I think, the secret sauce. And now let's go and give something back. And in consumer-facing innovation projects, we decided that the combination of quantity and quality is the definition of our leaderboard later on. So the sum of quality and quantity points, and then we just maybe, let's say, we developed nail polish, simple project. And then the top 10.
What attributes does this new nail polish have? Was it different set of colors? What is the speed to dry? Was it the speed to remove it? Or was it something else? What was specific that needed to be innovated about the nail polish that we take like for granted, like, oh, it's just a nail polish? But can you unpack what was
of course.
needed to happen to the nail polish to be innovative?
Do you have another 60 minutes?
I do.
Just kidding. So nail polish. First of all, a collection of nail polish usually has a pattern, consists of 24 different colors. And here it depends on the brand and on the producer. Let's say the standard collection has 24 different colors, and all colors have the same pattern, the same identity. So first of all, you create the identity for the next collection. How would you like to feel yourself when you wear that kind of nail polish? So then the community can come up with ideas, comment them, rate them, and so on and so forth. So you have one identity, one feeling, one situation. I don't want to say use case in that thing, but one moment when you wear it, right? Then the next thing is you can talk about colors. And what we did, we sent out prototyping packages to consumers, I think 1,000. So they were free of charge, and it had 3 tiny bottles of clear nail polish without any color at all. And then they had tiny bags with colorants in it, and as well metal parts. So like gold, silver, and so on. And then now the creativity kicks in. So you can first have the color defined, and with the basic colors you can mix and create basically every color. We have colors. Then we have additional metallic elements on the nail polish. You could define whether it's a glossy or matte surface as well, and you could add the option whether it's a crackling nail polish or not. But for the prototyping packages, the crackling option was not easy to mix. In the same way, you couldn't mix a glossy version and a non-glossy version because that was not possible. It was just about the colors and the metallic elements. But basically, that was your prototyping kit. You could prototype. So you mixed it together. Then you could color it on a kind of a small foil where the bottle was printed on. So you colored the foil from the back. You could see it from the front, how it would look in the shelf. Basically, you could color your own nails. And you made photos of it. You describe your process, how you mixed it, so that others can reproduce it. So sometimes some people came up with 5% of this and 15% of that. Others came with, I had 10 milligrams of that and whatsoever. They will find their way. And then you upload your pictures. We had 7,000 different picture colors, so pictures of colors. Then the voting made sure we had a short list of 24. The 24 then needed a name. So then we had a naming phase where people were allowed to give each color a specific name, because if you look at the tiny bottles, usually each red and yellow, they have a name for that red. So that was the next phase.
My summer collection of nail polish was jungle collection. So just so you know.
See. Yeah, and then you have snake green or chameleon purple.
Blue, cold, yeah.
So we have then the naming. And then you have quite often these extra POS shelves. And we designed together with the community the POS shelf, not the way how it's built, but the back wall. And then you were allowed to hand in a picture of yourself, and you were printed on the back wall as one of the creators of that entire collection. That was cool, right? So you
Super.
could see your own face in the store across Germany, and tell all your friends, "Hey, I made this one. This is my nail polish."
Isn't that amazing? And
It is.
just to uh, clarify this, because we just dove into this example without clear question, but this is an excellent example of innovating with customers,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah. And I mean, in the very end, we had over 20,000 different people working together to create nail polish. And it's a proven concept. We did it so often. As I said, yogurts, smoothies, gummy bears, scarves, everything, even naming for insurance products. That works as well. It works
Imagine.
for everything. People usually tell me one product you're buying since 2 or 3 years, maybe even longer.
Uh, let's see. Well, I was about to say coffee, but what I'm really specific about now is the double wall glass from Bodum.
Great.
I need to
Lots.
have these because it keeps my coffee warmer for longer, and I
Yeah.
take my coffee slowly.
So let's assume this company would reach out to you and tells you, hey, we are going to develop the new version of this cup. Do you want to help us? Of
Yes.
course you will. I wouldn't because I'm not using it, right? But I have other products. I have my own product that I love. And if they would ask me, are you going to help me creating a better version of that product that you actually have? I would do it, of course, free of charge. Because later on I would benefit from better taste, from better product. And I would love to see that I contributed it. And I'm of of course I'm an engineer, you're not, but it's not about the engineering aspect here. It's about the consumer and your needs as a consumer. And because the new product might solve your own needs way better than the actual product, this is your own benefit, having the better product without any flaws, right? And you can influence that. That's the main driver here.
You know, like I take example from the Eurovision Song Contest that sometimes the crowd knows better than the juries,
Yeah.
especially the year that Måneskin won. Like I would introduce that Eurovision style voting to any innovation challenge happening within an organization in particular. Then I take example from the Lego ideas that you can ideate any new set. If it gets 10,000 votes, it has the likelihood to get into the production. And then from PepsiCo's do us a flavor. I'm not a big Lay's or potato chips person. I love them, but I try not to eat them as often. But I still contributed to the challenge because they had the fantastic challenge for the 5th year in a row. Do us
Yeah.
a flavor and share what's your ideal flavor of the chips for a chance to win $1 million. You know, like these are amazing opportunities to think about the future, not to like, of course, you can have an innovation team do their work and innovate a lot of things. But as you're highlighting in CPG industry, you really want to refine the innovation with customers and find ways to engage the customers. Plus, nowadays, like with social media,
Oh,
you
yeah.
could engage the customers to share their ideas on social media platform and just select the one that has gotten the most engagements. Like you might not even go for the innovation management platform. You go to innovation consultants like you and I to help them shape the process, but use their social media to engage with the customers and to find what's innovation from their end is signaling the high demand in the market. So like,
What I absolutely don't get, you have a flop risk of 80% in CPG or FMCG products. So more than every second chocolate is not successful. So you invent it, you produce it, you pay the listing fee, you bring it on the shelf everywhere, and then you have 6 weeks, 8 weeks to perform. If you don't perform, they kick you out. And everything before sunk costs. And in the moment the consumer stays in front of the shelf, he decides, do I like this chocolate with strawberry and walnut? Yes or no? So his own gut feeling, he will say, I like it, and he buys it, or he tells you, nah, I'm not that sure, I don't buy it. And it's not based on the taste. It's not based on facts. It's based on gut feeling. But that
mm,
particular question asking the consumer, do you like strawberry and walnut? You could have asked that in the moment when the first time you thought about walnut, strawberry, inside your own organization at the table with 6 people thinking about our new line extension. So what I don't get is why, in that case, don't you involve consumers? Because if you involve them that early, you know exactly what they're going to buy later on based on gut feeling, based on assumptions how it's going to taste, right? Of course, you need to execute still in a professional manner. That's the quality that you need to deliver. But the gut feeling, that shouldn't be a deal breaker anymore. Not
I
in
hear you, and
nowadays.
I hear you, and I totally agree with you because, like surveys and focus group discussions are necessary, but they're so confined in terms of the data that they're going to give you. Because mine, like sometimes people respond in surveys what needs to be responded, what could be the right response, not necessarily how they feel or what they think about that specific thing. But when you expose them to, say, like new flavors of chocolate or new flavors of strawberry jams or fruit jams in your line,
Yeah.
and you give people a taste, you'll know by their behavior whether you have a product that is ready for the market or that was a fantastic experiment that told you not to invest further in this line of product or not. And similar to
Absolutely.
you,
Yeah.
like I would love to have the answer why organizations across walks of life don't open up their innovation process, because this is what it is at the end. You open up beyond a small team, whoever that team is. With no matter how amazing this team is, there are always going to be more amazing people in your organization and outside. So the art and science to innovation, or like one of the keys to a successful innovation, is also figuring out how to bring all this knowledge, how to integrate this tacit knowledge, how to integrate that gut feeling when tasting a product, we're experiencing a prototype of a product or a very early stage, low cost, low fidelity version of a product before you go and invest further into that one.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
you've been in this space slightly bit longer. I would still want to hear if you can think of like what could be the reasons that hold people and organizations back.
I think I had a thought while you were talking, so I'm still trying to
Tell me
weave that
start.
in your question. So I think if you think about yourself as an organization, what is your secret sauce? Where are you the expert in? And let's say you're producing jam. And I think the majority of the organizations, they would say, yeah, I'm the absolute expert in jam. But I think you're not. You're an expert in producing jam and market it afterwards. But inventing, every grandma in the US or everywhere has experience, has their own recipes, right? And if you maybe um, lower your scope of where you're the expert in, just towards where you're really the absolute expert in mass producing jam and market it globally, maybe, or regionally, whatsoever. If that is your absolutely core expertise, then it opens areas around that within your organization where you might be more open to talk to externals, to ask more to employees about their ideas, to ask to third parties, and so on. And I think in the moment you allow that and open up in that particular space, then you can grow as a company and have way better ideas. So reflecting on that jam example, because you said that, there's one particular jam my mother did at home, I'm doing, and some of my friends are doing because they use the same recipe. It's not about the recipe. Have you ever seen a jam with banana and rum?
No, I haven't, but
But it
sounds
tastes
delicious.
amazing. So it's not lots of rum, but just to have the flavor in it. But the
Uh-huh.
flavor of rum, banana goes hand in hand pretty well, and you can cook a jam out of it.
Have you
I never
patented
saw
your
that in the
recipe?
shop. Yeah, well, we'll figure out. It's so simple. You just have the ingredients of sugar, jam, sugar, banana, and
And rum.
some rum. So maybe a couple of spoons rum, and you're good. So I never saw that on the shelf. And I'm all the time questioning, why is there no one in a big corporation ever come to the idea, hey, let's do a version with banana? Maybe they don't know. And of course, if they do market research, they would ask them, hey, what do you like to have? Blueberry, strawberry, peach, the standard set. But if banana is not in the standard set, no one will ever think about banana,
There's
right?
no jam from banana, so there must be
Right.
something about the texture of banana in a jam. But I think you should start posting on your social media about it, your little invention, and find investors so then you can scale this.
No, you know what I'm going to do? I will propose 49,999 ideas to a big producer with different jam ideas, and then number 50,000 comes. I think this is just the maybe sometimes limiting organizations, thinking they have everything under control, know everything best. But quite often, we have billions of people on the planet. How many people do work in an organization? Not even a fraction of a percent, right?
And when it comes to this, I always take NASA as an example because NASA has super smart people, goes without saying. Hello. And when they started introducing open innovation, there was a resistance from the NASA scientists themselves. But the way that it has worked for NASA, and this is what Steve Rader talks about, is that he has educated the scientists that when you source also innovation from the outside, you elevate your starting point.
Yeah.
So whatever you could have done yourself, now when you bring in also the knowledge from the outside, you just go and you start from a higher point. And, for me, it's also so valuable to find ways to encourage and empower leaders across organizations to activate these innovators inside and out. Because if you say need 10 experiments, we're not even going to 50,000, but like those 50,000 ideas come down to 10 experiments. How long it's going to take to run those 10 experiments consecutively on your own? It is going to take certain time. But when you
Right.
open up, and you have 10 people or 20 people or 30 people or even more doing experiments on that same question simultaneously, you're totally accelerating the process of solving the problem at hand. And that's why for me, it becomes so important. Just know what your problem is. Know what you need to solve, because innovation is a solution at the end of the day. It is a solution that creates value, that sells. It's innovation in my simple language is an invention that sells, as simple as
Yeah.
that. An invention with a business model to it. So I feel like we still need to inspire a lot of people that, yes, you elevate your starting point, you shorten the experimentation time, and as such, you definitely shorten the time to value for an invention to become an innovation because it has a business model that is working for it.
And I think you even multiply your innovation power, because
Oh,
whenever
yeah.
you involve an external person or external, let's say a supplier, you let know all your suppliers where you're struggling with, how they could help you with new products, new services to to create better products yourself. In the moment, they know what you're seeking, where you have issues. They know instantly, if I have a solution for that, I'm getting some money. So they have high motivation to help you. You just need to let them know. And maybe they even, some suppliers that are not part of your supplier network, but they have the solution already at hand, but they don't know that you're seeking it, right? And therefore, I think open innovation is quite critical, letting everyone know how they can help you in order to become better. They will reach out to you anyways because they have their own interest. They would like to deliver services or goods to you. And in the same way, they will innovate, they will adapt their own services, and they innovate for you as an organization. Not totally free of charge, because later on you source from them, but you multiply your innovation approach, because innovation is not being carried out by your own team inside of your organization, but everyone outside as well that works along the value chain with you. And it's a mysterious sometimes for me why not everyone is doing that.
Is there anything that you and I and people like us in this consulting, advocacy, support space can do differently to drive adoption of this open model of innovating, either within the organization or outside, or like both, but start inside as a practice? Is there anything that we can do better or different? Of course,
So
better is possible, but like, what can we do better?
I think that if you want to have a structured open innovation approach, you have to overcome lots of obstacles internally. Like you need to talk to your legal department, you need to talk about who owns the IP, right? You need to have contracts in place. Maybe from my point of view, of course, you need to have a technology. And then,
We do.
and this applies as well to lots of areas in innovation. There are best practices, but there is no standard, no dominant design how innovation is being done. So, and in all the other areas of business, we have standards. There is a standard how you do accounting, right? Coming, of course, it's regulated, but we have a standard, and everyone is applying the standard. Everyone learns the standard, and then you switch organizations. You can start working right away because there is a standard. There's no standard for innovation, and of course, innovation needs flexibility.
What
But
about the ISO? What about ISO 56000 standards?
yeah, it's a standard. You are right, but sometimes it narrows the flexibility a lot. I'm rather thinking of a standard how you do open innovation. So you could create a legal standard that doesn't need to be created from scratch by a legal team member who has no idea about innovation, never thought about IP management. But why not delivering, that's on us rather, why not delivering with a technology an entire contractual set and process set of how to do open innovation, right? So you can just apply that. Your legal team, of course, wants to have a say, but they can read through everything. They have the explanations, and best case, they sign off, or they just reformat everything a bit, and still the content is mainly the same. And then you can just perform and do an open innovation in that case. But then processes need to be standardized as well. Technology-wise, of course, we can create templates in the products itself. We can apply best practices in the tools so that you cannot do it wrong, basically. Or it's very unlikely that you do it wrong. But this is something what we could do, I think. So having the helping hand standardized.
Yeah, I really believe that 4, 5, or 6P framework that I'm advocating for is really right on spot for that, because take care of the problem, take care of the people, take care of the process, take care of the price, and then you can change the platform how it needs. You can change the proficiencies, meaning like the upskilling how you need, but these core 4 are there. And then you, in any organization, can adopt its own legal standards of how to support people, how to support the problem definition, how to shape the process, and how do you integrate the prize for not only for solvers, but for the middle managers, the judges, the leaders, in terms of driving innovation and supporting innovation to happen across the organization. You don't have to wait for, say, like legal's approval to try it within your own team. Even if you have a team of 10 or 20, have a problem, open it up to everybody. Whoever solves it, whenever we're going to dinner, that person gets also $100 Amazon gift card, for example. It's super small scale, huh?
Absolutely agree, especially for the inside world, because there you can do it riskless. I mean, what's the drawback? And that's exactly the reason why I said the pizza guy round the corner. You never need to train him how to talk to clients, how to innovate. He does that automatically.
All the time.
It's inherent in him.
Because he's next to the customer. And the further the more distant you go from the customer, the more you lose the touch with the real problems that the customers are dealing with.
Exactly.
Jan Fischer, vielen Dank. This has been a fantastic conversation, and I look to many more conversations like this. In the meantime, keep making the world better, because it is possible.
Of course, I will never stop. Thank you, Iliriana.
And this is it. I decided to share this conversation because I personally value what I continued learning from Jan in this exchange. And I really hope that the insights that he's shared will help you as an innovation leader to make your innovation activation better in your organization. Remember, every employee, every customer, every human being around in your ecosystem can help you accelerate your innovation process. And you don't have to do it all alone. There's a unique value in opening up to other people in your ecosystem. I'm your host, Iliriana, and this was Activate Innovation Lounge podcast. Until next episode, stay curious and keep activating.